Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a goofy-ass movie. So when I saw that a game was being made out of it, I knew it was going to be something of interest. The very first reveal trailer excellently encompassed the chaotic nature of the franchise, and with it I saw the potential that it had in the gaming space. At the time of this recording, it's going to be released in just a few short days, and I'm nervous. Killer Klowns originally released back in 1988 and has amassed a cult following that is still relevant to this day. It's a movie that my friends and I have enjoyed for years, so at best, I could look at this game in the same context, and it could be a platform for my friends and I to hang out in and create fun memories. But at worst, we could have another cyberpunk situation on our hands. In all seriousness, I really don't want Killer Klowns to fail. I now believe it would make sense to establish what Killer Klowns is bringing to the table. It is going to have some of the largest matches in the genre, with a full lobby containing 3 killers and 7 survivors. The survivors in particular won't be helpless. Their running is actually faster than the alien clowns, although it is noisy. There's also multiple means of escape, with there being a boat that only needs a few supplies to start running, and the Doomsday Bunker is another option that will only be viable for a short amount of time once opened. And even within the escape routes, it gets into more science-fictional territory, with survivors being able to open portals as a means of escape. All of this sounds fun conceptually and works in the Killer Klowns universe, but this whole experience would feel incomplete without some tools of destruction. So thankfully, weaponry will be available for humans to enjoy, from the melee kind to ranged guns, and by using them effectively, these clowns can actually be killed temporarily and sent back to their circus tent spaceship. Also throughout the match, even while dead, there's still hope for the humans. Dead survivors will have the option to play mini-games while waiting that can assist fellow survivors that are still alive. And there's a machine in the game that acts similarly to the Fortnite reboot van, giving everyone a second chance at escape. On top of that, proximity chat will be in the game, further emphasizing the concept of teamwork on both sides. And match progression seems excellent as well, with clowns being given special abilities as time goes on, and if a game lasts for too long, the clownpocalypse phase will ensue, where a timer will begin to tick down on screen and new ice cream truck escapes will be available to the humans. But if people are too slow, they will instantly die in a glorious explosion. Now, with the clowns, I've already mentioned how they can die, but are capable of respawning later in the match. Their wild abilities help them greatly with their mission, and even the most mundane tasks of the clowns still seem fun to do. With their advanced weaponry, they capture humans in cotton candy cocoons and hang them up to dry. In the meantime, they can also leave cotton candy on the escape routes. Humans will then have to dig through it in the form of QuickTime events, and if they fail, the clowns will know. So that's the major rundown of what Killer Klowns will be looking like. With all that in mind, now I just have my worries. The first being, it's a new contribution to the overcrowded multiplayer survival horror genre, and this is a space that already includes major IPs and big heavy hitters. Friday the 13th, the game, unfortunately had licensing issues that hurt its longevity, but was still enjoyed by many for years, and was a great addition to the landscape with its unique features. Last year's Texas Chainsaw game interested many, with millions checking it out through Xbox Game Pass, with a unique ratio of 3 killers versus 4 survivors in a standard match. And it would be unfit to have a conversation about multiplayer survival horror without at least mentioning Dead by Daylight. This absolute juggernaut of a game released back in 2016 and is still going strong to this day, with crossovers that pique the interests of many, and original content that excites the player base, such as the new 2v8 limited time mode coming soon to the game. Love it or hate it, this is most definitely our game's greatest competitor. Also, If the game underperforms due to the heavy competition, that's one thing. But if the game is a letdown, that would just be disappointing. What I'm thinking specifically is its performance at launch. Too many games throughout the past few years have launched in an unfinished state, whether it's simply a lack of content, issues with the online servers, or a whole slew of bugs like the infamous release of Cyberpunk that was alluded to earlier. A bad launch could hit Killer Klowns hard, and I'm not sure if it's the type of game that could survive such a heavy blow. Now it's time for the final 3 needs. These are aspects that the game, needs to truly shine. 3 needs to make Killer Klowns excellent. This here is my first. It needs to give the players a reason to come back. It could be a blast to play the very first weekend, but if a month rolls by and I'm no longer inclined to touch it, then it probably wasn't worth the money I spent. An obvious way the developers can solve this is through the addition of DLC, preferably free DLC, so that all players can access it without worry. This could be in the form of new clowns, new survivors, or new locations, just to name a few. If the developers add new content that's prominent enough for all players to notice, then that's a great reason to keep playing. Also, a leveling up system could have a similar effect. Leveling up could lead to the player unlocking new stuff such as cosmetics, therefore it will give the player a great purpose to play. My second need is this. As I mentioned earlier, this game already has a lot of competition. Therefore, it needs to feel unique. It needs to feel like Killer Klowns. And I'm not too worried about this. We've already gone over what's included in the game, and many of it excellently goes along with the source material. Clown fatalities will even be in the mix as a way of gloriously eliminating humans. So I think that really exaggerates the uniqueness. And behind the scenes, the film's original composer John Massari created the game's score, and the Chiodo brothers, who produced, wrote, and directed the original movie, are the executive producers of the game. So, stylistically, it is going to be a unique experience that connects with the movie's vibe greatly. But what a majority of us don't know yet is whether or not the game plays uniquely. The 3v7 format is a great sign that it will, but if this game feels just like one of its competitors, then chances are people may just want to stick with said game. Only time will tell. And lastly, my third and final need is this. The game needs to be fun. The graphics look like they're gonna be absolutely fantastic, and the aesthetic and overall vibe is intriguing as hell. But if it isn't fun, then why bother? The fun is something that can be assumed based off of everything we know about the game, but we won't truly know until it's actually in our own hands. And with that, those are all my worries for Killer Klowns from Outer Space, the game. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one.